Trying to get YouTube turned on. Am I a thing yet? Somewhere? Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Am I on yet? Not clear that I am. Ooh, I am. Oh my god. Okay. So that's good to go. Might as well just go ahead and get this kicked off. Boink. Okay. So hello. Welcome to episode I guess episode 1 of season 2. Season 1 only had one episode. Had a whole bunch of stuff going on in the background. This is the first time I'm trying to live stream doing stuff. So we'll just see how this goes. Might suck, might be awesome. Who knows? I did find out something weird because browsers try to optimize. So I'm using a virtual screen. It's over like on the right, doesn't really exist part of my, it's not part of my screen. It doesn't exist. So doing a virtual screen has this weird effect of it's never actually got the view. So context menus think they're not on an actual display surface because that surface is not in view. And the craziest one is that browsers get completely one-shotted by this. If I put a browser over on the virtual screen, they think that they can't ever get focus, and browsers optimize for just like not rendering anything. So they all go funny. So my solution to that for the moment is if I need to look something up, I will open up, I don't know, I'll just use links. And we'll see how that goes. Anyway, this kill 9 above here, that was me actually murdering Firefox because it just like I put it in its own process, put it over there, and it went bananas because it can't think that it's in view. So anyway, what we are doing today, today we're looking into the Hakuzaru library for the Gajumaru blockchain. It's a client library that's that abstracts out all the stuff that you have to do to talk to the chain. So just like, for example, if I run so ZX, instead of ZX, use ZXH, so we have a head. So ZXH run Gaju desk. So you won't be able to see Gaju desk itself. But let's open a test wallet. Okay. What is my testnet node here? I have a testnet node locally. 16 I know has one. So, all right. So here's Gaju desk talking to a testnet node that I've got locally, that I know I have locally. So this is just an account. I'll copy the account ID, and then if I wanted to like look up the account in Hakuzaru, I would do like look up the account ID, and boom, I get the balance stuff. So if I want to see the chain status, I get the chain status. These are all what's happening in the background is that Hakuzaru is calling a web endpoint for these different like you can just see all the stuff that is available. And Hakuzaru, these are all the exposed functions from the library. There's web requests happening in the background. Those get converted to their JSON things, which means their maps. They get converted to Erlang maps, and then we see this stuff here. So that's like basically what's happening. Bye bye. The library that Gajudesk is using to do that is Hakuzaru. That's the code base that we're in right now. And what I want to do today is, let me see, I should be on the parser branch. That's the latest, greatest thing that's going on. It's letting Gajudesk do these like dynamic contract call features from a developer interface. So what I want to do today is get into Hakuzaru, the main module of it, and decide. I have this like popped out. Let me see if I can see how much my picture blocks of that. I guess it might be a little bit obnoxious depending on where I'm editing. Whatever. If that becomes an issue, I can just make my picture go away. Or I can make my picture smaller. There we go. Anyway, so over on this side, you can see the exposed functions stuff, right? These are all the data forms that are returned. Yeah, so what is happening right now is on the Chain Explorer, we can pull source code, which is really cool that's a doable thing. Actually, let me see if I can. Going to open an additional. I should be able to share a browser window as its own inset, right? So let me see if I can get this started up and customize Kensaku. All right, get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, cool. So, see if I can add a source here. No. Oh, I can only screen share one thing at a time. Oh, okay. Well, that sucks. Let's see if I can. The basic thing that I wanted to show is, okay, so this is a Chain Explorer, and if I click a contract address, it has the option to show source, and we can pull the source code off of a chain and see it, which is like awesome. So the problem is that currently that source code is kept in, like it's delivered plain text. It's a binary blob, and it gets attached to the transaction and just like put up. Now the source code itself is just any arbitrary binary blob. It's not the source code's not verified, because to verify source code on a chain, you have to also verify the compiler that it's built with, and that means that you can only have one compiler implementation, and any update that you do to your compiler language, or to your any change to that compiler winds up going under consensus. So you wind up sort of having like mini hard forks like all the time, which you shouldn't do. So the Fate runtime, that is under consensus, but the compiler itself is not. So what we've done is we've added that you can post source code with a contract creation transaction, and a contract clone also points back that source code, so you can get it. You pull it the same way from the outside. It feels the same, but a contract clone or a contract create, doesn't matter which, will point back to the source code if it exists. Now you don't have to put it up, and a contract with no source code posted, we call that like incognito mode. Because the contract source is not verifiable because the compiler is not verifiable, the contract binary cannot be verified like by the chain itself at the time that you submit it. So what happens is you post a contract with the source, and all the default tooling does this the correct way. But if you're sneaky, you could post like, fake source and tell somebody that a call that they're making does something different than it really does. So you could lie, right? So in the contract compilation artifact, the source, or not the source, the compiler version that was used is annotated. So external tooling like Gajudesk can look at the chain, look at a contract, and you can load the contract from the chain. And when you load the contract from the chain, it pulls the source and populates the little like IDE for this, but you don't yet know if that's necessarily the same source code that corresponds to the compiled contract that's on chain. So you would recompile the contract with the version indicated, and then you can check the bytecode and see that the hash of that bytecode matches the commit hash on the chain. So there's some steps here, all the pieces necessary to verify the contract source that's on chain, that it actually is the source that corresponds to the compiled contract that you see on chain that you deal with mechanically. You can verify that those are true. But that's an external task. So that being said, source code, like program source code, is extremely repetitive from, if you just think of it as a stream of bytes, it's super repetitive. There's like repeating words all over the place. There's repeating syntax all over the place, tons and tons of white space. Basically compresses really, really well. You get like, even with just gzip or whatever you get, you can get your source can be crunched down to about 20% its size, and storage on chain is at a premium. So what we really want is to compress the source code before we put it in. And if we know that the source component of the contract commit is just an arbitrary binary blob, then yay, we can come up with external to the chain, we can come up with a tooling standard that expects the source to be compressed. And that will make contract commits cheaper. That'll make chain storage lighter. Everything's good. But we need some indication when we read that binary, like, is this compressed or not? How is it compressed? The tooling can handle all this like invisibly for people. But because we have plain text source code on chain already, and we don't verify that it's compressed or whatever, it's just any arbitrary binary blob, we need a couple of hooks to do this safely. And doing that safely means also being aware that you could make up somebody could make up a malicious binary that is compressed, but it's like just all zeros. So it's like, 1,000, it could be 1,000 byte thing that explodes up to being, several megabytes in size in memory. Well, so then people clicking through the Explorer are trying to open like this compressed source code, but what all they get out of it is like a bunch of the same letter over and over and over or something. Like ASCII A just forever. That compresses extremely well. Well, it blows up to this huge size. And you could sort of try to engineer a memory attack on an Explorer node, for example, doing something like that. So we're going to want to cap like the maximum expanded size by default and provide some way to tell a caller like, hey, this is probably not something you want to open. So that is all that together is sort of this task. The trivial mechanic of let's just look at the trivial way. How would we do this just trivially in the not entirely safe way? It's not super dangerous because there's a limit to how much you can put into any transaction, how much data you can put in any transaction on chain. So, you can't make like I don't think we could commit enough data to a single transaction for it to be genuinely dangerous to open, but we should be aware that you could have some data that results in like a megabyte of memory or whatever, and then make 1,000 requests to the Explorer all at the same time, it's going to be exploded, making these kind of explosive requests like constantly in the background. So we want to be aware of that. Let's see, what am I looking for? Contract create. That is this guy. Okay. So that's the smaller version. Contract create 2. Contract create built. Right. Okay. Contract create built. Okay, so that's the big. So we've got the small arg versions that pass through defaults to bigger arg versions and so on for convenience. Here we go. This is our assemble call data. Where all is this called from? It should just be the one spot. It is. So what we have is source here. So what we would want to do, so we have the sources coming out of this map. Contract source comes out of the compiled artifact. Okay. Or empty. So it can be an empty binary, or it can have a thing in it. We are coercing that characters to binary. Okay. Source. So remember, anybody could do any crazy thing they want on chain, just make it happen. What we want here is to know that is compressed. So let's do so what's the one here? What we're going to do is play with the shell just a little bit here, because I don't remember. I think it's just compress, uncompress. Actually, let me grab a I want to play around in here. What I want is, I can't type today. Okay, so we're going to pull this source. This is Erlang source, but I mean, it's Sophia, Erlang. They're not that horribly different. What I want is raw source. I'm going to read file, hc.erl. Okay, and then what's the byte size of this guy? I don't know. Okay, so it's 68. That's pretty big, 68K. Okay, so I guess it's GZ1 is going to be gzip. Oh, not file. Gzip source 1. Okay. All right. Now these two magic bytes here, 31, 39, that's your header indicator that this should be a gzip thing. All this other stuff will be in like most gzip headers will extend this far, but what those actually are supposed to be is like a modifier flag and like a timestamp or whatever. And most gzip implementations don't even actually do that. They just leave it all 0. And then, an important one is this 3 right here, is what kind of system does this come from? Windows or Unix or like whatever. There's codes for these things. So 3 is supposed to be like a Unix system. And most gzip implementations don't actually know if they're running on, a lot of gzip implementations aren't intimate enough with the given platform that they know what they're built on. So a lot of them just say 3. Even on Windows, they'll just say 3. Well, okay. And then Android is like, is that Unixy or not? Or it's kind of weird. So most of them just say 3, but you can't depend on all this stuff being that way. Like everything from like 80003, you can't match on this stuff. These first two, those two first bytes, that's a 2-byte, indicator that this is probably gzip stuff, but it's not. You can't depend on everything after that. Anyway, let's check what the byte size of gz1 is. 14K. So what's this? Byte size of source 1, byte size of gz1. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's our compression ratio. Without any special options, that's our compression ratio. If we just use gzip and unzip. So let's just to prove to ourselves, zlib gunzip. These should come out byte perfect. They do. Yay. Okay. So we know we can do that. Gzip, gunzip, cool. What's that mean in code over here? We can do gzip source. That's such a long name. I'm just going to go with compressed because we have unambiguous variables here. Okay, so that part of it, it's compressing the source now. Yay. Now, here is our recovery of this. What we want here is we want to wrap this. Actually, no, we want to. I was about to say we want to wrap this in a function that does maybe decompress, but actually what we want to do is we're going to want to call a next step function. It's going to be like maybe gunzip. Maybe gunzip source. Okay. Yeah, so what was the thing we just saw? 31.139. What are those in what's the actual header in hex? Because okay, I'm saying what's the actual header in hex because people don't know the decimal values for these things, but there's like quite a few people who know the hex value. So gzip header bytes. You know what? I'm curious. I had said that we're going to use links. Let's try that real quick. Let's try links real quick. So we're going to open links, and then we're going to go to what? I'm guessing start page works on links. I don't know. That's the question here. The world's most private search engine. I'll believe that when I see it. Okay, what are we looking for? Gzip header bytes button. We apologize. Oh, my ability to connect to start page has been. No, I'm not. I'm not using JavaScript though. That's probably the problem. Okay, so screw you guys. Let's go to. Let's see if Yahoo still has a search thing. They used to have really good search that worked very well over links, but I don't know if that's true anymore. Is this an all? Yeah. Cookie trash that you have to agree to over and over. Okay, they still might. So gzip header bytes. I don't know. That's a lot of buttons. I bet one of them is like the AI button, and that's not what I want. Oh, yeah, it's a script button. Is that the normal one? Okay, so this just doesn't work really anymore. Okay, let's try, who else? Let's see if, oh, maybe Yahoo Japan still works. They were doing less annoying things previously. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. So this might work. Oh wow, Wikipedia is like way uglier than it was before for this. Can I search for header? Yeah, there we go. Okay, this is what I was looking for. I knew there was magic number stuff going on. So remember the 8 that we saw before that? That was the method required to read this. So the 8 is this 8 right here. 31139 is 1F8B. So if we do like 16 1F is 31 and 16 was it 8B is 139. So 31 139 1F8B. Okay. So those 2 bytes, we know that's definitely correct. 1F8B. Okay. And then the next thing is a compression method has to be deflate, which is like I guess the name of the specific. If you look in the zlib code, there's a specific function called deflate. Actually, no. I think that's the name of this, like the module, the source file is like called deflate. There's a deflate header and whatever. That's the one that's implemented, so it has to be deflate. After that is these flags, and then there's the timestamp I was talking about earlier. And there's extra flags, and then the file system where the compression occurred. I don't know why they keep track of this stuff, but look at all this stuff. It could be any number of junk. And then 255 unknown default value. I've actually never seen that value. I've just seen 3 Unix coming from like every file system because it doesn't seem to really matter. I've also almost, not always, but I've almost never seen the time modification time actually kept in there. So this is the Unix time when the file was last modified if the compressed data did not come from a file when compression started. I've never seen anyone. Well, I've never seen any implementation do that. Maybe I just haven't seen enough implementations, but that's not a thing I've seen. But I know this is in the standard, and so I know that I can't trust that these are going to be like. I know that 8's going to be there, but I don't know the 0 stuff. So I can match on 1F, 8B, 8. And that 8 is like safe to match on because look, 8. So what I can do here in code, what I'm going to do is if the source is, what was it? I'm brain farting. 1F, 8B, and then I guess it's safe to match on 8, but yeah, whatever. In this case, so in Erlang, we can do multiple clauses here. In this case, we're going to try zlib gunzip source. And if that fails, I don't know what the errors are that you can get from. What happens if I try to unzip like the source by itself? Let's just try that. Zlib gunzip. It gives me error, data error. Okay. Are there other kinds of errors that can come out of that, I wonder? Let's try going to... Let's go look at the docs. And yeah, I'm just going to use my own site for that because... I think it's it's weird. Like zlib is in ERTS. It's not in... Oh. Hey, there's somebody chatting. I didn't notice that. Sorry. Hello. Getting a chat from YouTube. BGM Dev. Hello. And welcome to somebody viewing docs in links, which you probably haven't seen for a while. For some reason, zlib is in ERTS. So it's like part of ERTS. So yeah, Erlang is huge. I should just search for it. Zlib. Yeah, here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Gunzip. Yeah. Been sub for a while. It seems I'd never seen. Yeah, this is the first time that I'm actually trying it live. I did some test streams like the last two or 3 days to figure out how any of this works. It turns out that Rumble has like bought some like stream aggregator thing, and it works really well. So I'm trying this out. We'll see how this goes. I haven't been live, so you've never seen me live because I've never been live. You're catching the inaugural live stream of me like breaking things on stream. So nice to have you around. I think there's a delay with the chat coming into this. Like this aggregates all the chat, so I can see that came from YouTube instead of Rumble, which it's amazing that it works at all. Let's see. So, okay, so gunzip data is just decompressed. It doesn't tell me anything about the error types. Cool. I'm not going to go read the source to the zlib thing. I'm just going to like assume that if I get an error, that like it's okay. And we're just going to return the old. We're just going to return that. And then that's it. Yeah, you're the first live viewer. That's right. You are the man. First guy. So that's when I'm big and famous, you'll have been the first one to have showed up. So what's happening here is we're going to see if we got the magic bytes, and if we do, we're going to try to first we're going to fix some typos, but we're going to do that, and we're going to unzip the source thing, hopefully. If that barfs, then we're just going to return the source as is. Now, what would be nice is if we could tell, like, look, if we go look over here, if I put 1F, what was it, 8B into a list. Oh, I'm dumb. First, you have to type accurately. I get 3139 as integers, right? But see, if I put like, what's a good one? 67, 68. I get CD because those are letters. Like the letters. 67, 68 are integers, obviously, but those are the ASCII values for big C, big D. So like, 66, 66, 67. Again, if you type accurately, that's a string as interpreted by the system. But if we look at these values, 31, 39, that's not like 32, I believe, is space, right? Yeah, it's a space. But 31 is not a printable value, and 139 is not a printable value. Or maybe it is. Let's try. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not in like the printable ASCII set normally. Because actually, no, of course it's not, because it's higher than 127. So that puts us outside of the printable range, which means that these numbers probably don't occur in source code. It's plain text. We're probably not going to have source code that starts with 31. That's not going to be a normal printable value. So if we did get 1F 8B and we tried to unzip it and it didn't succeed, something's going on, and we're just going to return the raw thing. But it's better to maybe not return OK source. It'd be better to like leave a tag that indicates this is kind of weird. Maybe it's not source. We're going to give them the binary back so they can do their own thing with it, but we should probably let them be aware of the situation. So what's a good way to wrap that up? Maybe we want something like, see, and this isn't bytecode. This should be source. It's not going to be contract byte array. It's going to be, not IO list. What's the one called? It's in the Unicode module. Is that? I forget where the Unicode module's at. No. It might be in the interface thingy. No, it's not. Maybe it's in the ERTS. No, it's not there. Kernel? I don't know. Maybe it's in standard library. That's actually totally possible. Seems even likely. Let's go to the end. It is. Look at that. Whoa, that's long. Top of manual page. Probably don't want to do that like ever in links. Unicode binary. A binary with characters encoded in the UTF-8 coding standard. That's what we would want as Unicode binary. Because that would be the correct. Source Unicode. What else might we have, though? Because we could possibly be returning something else. Oh, sorry, I'm missing your chat, man. It would be cool to hear a bit more about yourself. The context of this project is a side thing. Oh, yeah, it's kind of both. So this particular project is the Gajumaru blockchain thing. QBQ AG is doing this. It's it's kind of well, in my opinion, this is like they fixed the problems they fixed the problems that have blocked people from being able to use blockchain in practical settings. So they're like very like pragmatically focused on getting blockchain to be usable in like the real world. So like right now you can't just like use crypto on Amazon or something. And it's not because crypto's not worth anything, it's because it's unusable. So they're fixing all these usability things, and this is one of them, is just like little slice of it. So the way that Gajumaru works is, and the reason it's called Gajumaru is a tree out here where I live, where you get like one tree growing up, looks like a normal tree, and then there's these tendrils that come down, and each tendril that hits like a fertile patch kind of becomes its own tree, but they're all connected together, and it gets to the point where it's hard to tell which one's like was the original, bowl of the tree. They're just all, it's like you have a whole forest, but it's actually just one tree, and they're all sharing sap and nutrients and all that. So that metaphorically, that's how there's like this organic structure to the Gajumaru blockchain where there's this root chain called Groot, and that one's proof of work. So you get your proof of work, your anti-inflationary kind of principle lives there. That's mined by proof of work. They have a fast finality layer on top of it that has like a witnessing scheme. So you get very fast finality, but you also have proof of work mining for mining incentives, and the mint functions governed by that, and all that stuff. So you have like the Bitcoin foundation, the Bitcoin style foundation of the monetary value. You don't have the pitfalls of anonymous proof of stake, where it's just this gameable, crazy system, and like Ethereum's controlled by whatever, and it's like all the weird stuff that happens over there can't happen in that context. But that's just one chain. That's just one like bowl. All of the others, you can have associate chains that branch off of that, and they can do their own thing. They can internally have their own consensus model. You can transfer to keep the system simple enough to actually be useful. Currency can be transferred between chains, and every currency in the system has an authority graph. It's like a tree structure. So you have to pass basically a directed acyclic graph of whatever currency scheme you're using. So the Gaju is the proof of work currency within the system. So any chain, all the chains have to be an associate of Groot, and so they can all trade in the Gaju. But the way that those consensus models are governed ultimately, and that the global supply is protected, is that Groot is the true, like the root of truth for the total amount of Gajus that could ever exist in the system. And what that gives you is you can have all these like child chains that can do their own innovations and things internally, as long as they can speak Gajumaru, but the total global currency supply is capped by whatever Groot says it's capped at. And also accounts are transparent across chains. So you send money, the way you send money between chains is you can send money from yourself to yourself. So that chain can verify that was really your signature. There's no custodial thing. So that eliminates the gateway problem. There's no gateways, unless you're doing like private AC. There's no worry about like somebody taking over the chain through like proof of stake shenanigans in the background. The chain's very fast and responsive, so there's a 3-second latency for transactions. Everything's finalized within a couple minutes. It's all like you can actually do stuff like commercially with it, which is awesome. So yeah, that is a hobby interest of mine, and this has become a commercial interest of mine, and now I'm working actually as a product officer there for QPQ, doing this, and it's really cool. If you go to the sites, are still getting like organized, but Gajumaru.io, I can put it in chat. Gajumaru.io is one place to go. I don't know if I can put proper links in here or not. I would assume that I can. Gajumaru.io, and then there's still some work going into kind of organizing the messaging. And right now, Groot is in like a whitelist mining phase where to become a miner, you have to enter the whitelist. And because there's so much predatory funding in blockchain, where blockchain projects get like subverted by a bunch of money coming in, the way that QBQ is funding the full build out of this is by having people pay, but the licenses are really cheap. Like the lower ones are really cheap to get in, but basically incentivizing people to mine by having them buy a mining license to get into the whitelist so we know who they are. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of hard to find clear content on these topics. I think you summarized it well. Thank you. Yeah, there's a massive usability problem in blockchain, and if you talk to blockchain obsessives, they'll say, oh well, blockchain's going to cure feline leukemia, and like, no, it's not. It's just like there's so much silly stuff that people say. Anyway, that's the context of this. So what I'm trying to do here is just make submission of source on chain like more reasonable. Right now, it's like uncompressed source code as a binary, and that's silly to store. So we're trying to crunch that down in like a way that's uniform, but doesn't have to affect like the consensus model, because there's no way to really put it under consensus. So if you call the endpoint contract source, what do you get back? You should get okay source. That's if it came back and it was okay. And then maybe not okay source. Maybe we want to annotate this in a little bit more detailed way. Oh, and I can't use the maybe keyword because some clowns at the Erlang, whatever, the retard convention that is, the elixirists who have the good idea fairy pooping on their shoulder all the time, they decided to add maybe as a keyword out of the blue to a language that had several reserved words they could have used, but they didn't. So that's great. They could have used cond, but they didn't do that. They used maybe, which was in a lot of code bases. So let's see. What would we call this? Plain? Or actually, we could just say UTF-8 source. That's a possible thing that could be returned. That makes sense. Let's see. No. You know what? That's an interface. That's like a breaking change for libraries using this. They would need to encounter, like they could encounter something additional, but I don't want to change what they're currently encountering because that's almost always going to be right. We can let them encounter what? Maybe unzip. Okay. We have two possibly unknown cases. We can test that at the bottom too, so that maybe the second clause of maybe gunzip, we can test. There's a function in the Unicode library that I can it's like no. It's like printable characters or something. Maybe it's the string library, actually. You see no job openings on the site? Yeah, well, actually, that's a funding dependent thing. We actually want to hire people who are interested But we have to get funding, and that's why we have to sell mining licenses right now too. Um, are you looking for a thing to do? Let's see. Is empty. Where's printable? Oh, IO. Look at that. It's in the IO lib. Printable Unicode list. And IO. God, I did not expect that. What is it? Left. Yeah, left parentheses open. Yeah, we don't have like a job openings thing on there. I should send a message to like, so Greg Chu, the CEO, he's a really interesting dude. Could talk with him about putting something on there. And Cecile, our marketing lady, she's really squared away. Where was that function that I was just looking at? Printable Unicode list. It didn't point me to the printable Unicode list thing. It pointed me to types. Printable Unicode. That's odd. Let's see. Okay, let's just do IO. Better suited candidates than you? Well, what have you been doing? The most important thing, like when I look at hiring, I'm usually looking at like, if I can find a math oriented person that's like highly trainable and can do some stuff in, you know, it's mostly a competent, like by definition, nobody, when going through hiring, right? When you're doing a unique project, especially in like a big mix of languages, people are like, I'm a Python guy or I'm a JavaScript guy or like, that's ridiculous. Nobody is a blah language guy unless they're just like their mind is, their view is this narrow about everything. To do a real project, you have to be just accepting that whatever, stupid ass language that is going to be required to suit a certain task. Like you have to deploy to Windows. Like, okay, well now you got to do. It's going to be a clown show no matter what you're doing, and it's even worse now with all the just the enshittification of Windows forces that it's going to be a clown show. But you still like it's a clown show. It's distasteful, but you still have to get stuff done. Okay, well, the web's the same way. Everything on the web's ridiculous, like not all the time, nonstop. So can you use good languages all the time? No, you can't. You can use good languages and good environments like sometimes when you get to pick it, but very often you don't get to pick anything. And sometimes the environment just forces. Like I wrote a string handling library in Pascal several months ago. That sounds outrageous, but I had to do that because the Windows packaging, like the packaging thing that I was using for Windows for installers, the scripting language for that, it's not a scripting language, it's Pascal. It's really old and it's Pascal and it works just fine. But you have to, if you're going to write custom routines, you have to write them in Pascal or you have to package a separate utility program to do stuff after install. And so, I mean, I haven't written Pascal since like the 90s. And it wasn't the same, like there's lots of variants of Pascal. This is one I'd never seen before. You just have to do that stuff. Okay. So qualified or suitable is a better word than qualification. But my point is that if you're doing anything interesting, then by definition, LLMs can't really help you out much because they can't do anything novel. Like they're not designed to do anything novel. It's not how they work. And second, there's no such thing as a qualified candidate because you're making all new stuff. Nobody's qualified on whatever the system is because it doesn't exist yet. You're building it out. So, we're not in the best like position to be hiring people regardless right now. not yet, but don't shortchange yourself on whether or not you're suitable, because when you're hiring for a new project that's genuinely novel, there is no such thing as a qualified candidate. There's just people who are willing to figure out how to get things done at all, and default, like, doing a design that's new is always experimental in nature to some degree, and experimentation is very much like maze. It's like path solving in a maze. You don't know necessarily how hard something's going to be until you're already on that path, and then you go, whoa, that was way more complicated than I thought. And that happens quite a lot. Now experience can help kind of give you some sense of that, but like of what's going to be really hard and what's not. But you just like never know up front. That, like sometimes you do, but you very rarely know. Anyway, what was I doing? Printable Unicode list. This should just give me a Boolean back, right? Oh, so source 1 is actually not. What in the world would not be printable from this? Source 1 was this up here, right? Let me make sure that I'm not crazy. What in here is not printable? I mean, it's not checking if there's like bad words in it, right? Hmm? That's kind of strange. I don't think that there's even anything out of bounds in it. Why would it give me printable Unicode list is full? Is it how about this? Printable list. It's not a printable list. Okay. Then let's see what happens with this. Well, it printed that just fine as a printable list. How about if I give it pretty print? What's it going to think it is? It thinks it's a string. No, it doesn't. I'm wrong. It thinks it's a binary. Which means there's what? Escape characters in here that are crazy? What in the world could be funky in here? Unless I've got... I don't think I have anything that's weird. All right, well, how about this? IO lib printable Unicode list. Oh, would that mean it says list, right? And this is the string module. Maybe I need to do what? Binary to list. That's why. Okay, and then what if I did... I didn't realize that it was... because most of the string module... Oh, that's the problem. So the string module has kind of been morphed around. I don't actually like this because I haven't picked like a canonical representation. So it's all kind of shifty, but the string module has been changed again by the Elixir clowns to accept binaries and lists. So string is now defined as like any kind of IO list, which is very convenient in some contexts, but it also eliminates, if you want to do any kind of complex character handling, Yeah, you're just on your own. And when I say complex character handling, nobody outside of, well, not nobody, but the majority of complex character like assembly cases wind up happening in Asian languages. And that's where I live. And so this is a thing that hits me all the time. And they just don't, it's like, they talk about all this diversity and acceptance and stuff. And then they just completely forget that half the world exists all the time. All right. So in that case, it comes out as a string. Okay. So binary to list, that's the check. So the check becomes OK source is if case IO lib printable Unicode list binary to list source of true. False. What would we call this? This is a something. I don't know what we would call this. Custom. I need to get some of the other guys in this chat so I can ask them. I should do that. I didn't tell anybody that I was actually going live. What's the URL for this stream? I don't even know. I'm going to see if I can. Oh, I can share this? Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm just putting a note out that says I'm live here. And all right. We'll see what comes of that. So see if I can get some help on naming. I'm not good at naming stuff. Custom's kind of what I want to go for there, but I gotta get my mouse over here. Does that actually work when there's like funky stuff going on? So like, what is it? IO lib printable Unicode list, and then what? Like, konnichiwa. Oh, okay. Cool. But if I make that a binary, it won't work, right? Wait, is that UTF-8? I think that's how you do it. False. But if I do binary to list, ooh. Let's see what happens. Binary to list, IO format, TS in. Okay, that's interesting. So binary to list, what do I need? Unicode characters to list. Okay. I see what's happening there. It needs to assemble the code points, and the Unicode module is the correct way to do that. So this is not quite right. So what I actually want is up here. I want Unicode characters to list. And then it's true. Okay, so I'm being silly. What I actually want is glad I checked that. This is where the whole like canonical, non-canonical representation thing becomes lots of fun. Okay. Why did I turn that on? Okay. That feels rightish. Maybe concept source. Okay. So up here in the types, or opaque, I don't know. Glab, gunzip. Oh, and actually we didn't check. So see, there's like layers to this now, because even if we unzip the thing, we don't know that it's source. It could be like anything else. So, maybe unzip binary is really the correct thing to say. It's not source yet. We don't know that it's source. Uncompressed, case, IO, lib. Well, if we're doing this twice, I don't want to get anything wacky in here. There's another issue, which is we're probably going to want to be packing archives in here. This is the simple case to start with, but what we're actually going to want to build out eventually is, because you can have different source, like one contract being deployed. Typically, I write contracts as much as I can in a single file, and that's it. That's the whole thing. You don't have to go digging around for dependencies. But what you really want is you want a notion of project, and that you're going to deploy a project to the chain. And you would want to be able to interpret that as a complete, not one gzipped binary blob, but a binary blob that is actually an archive that will unpack into like a directory. And you would want to be able to hand the uncompressed archive back to the caller. Or you could hand the compressed archive back to the caller and have them deal with the decompression of it. But it would basically be their thing where they called the thing, they got the binary, now they want to decompress it and put it on disk and like dig through it or whatever. You want to have some indication of that you can. So, but having a single source get unzipped, that solves the main point of pain that we have at the moment. So let's see. Case uncompressed. Okay, so case IO lib. Now this is code duplication. I'm doing this down below, but it's okay. Don't lose your. Sometimes a little bit of duplication is okay. Oh, whoop. When reasoning through something like this, it is yeah, I'll just do binary for now. Okay. So I'm trying to reason through this the moment. And we'll just do binary here too. Okay. So there's these two. Okay. So we try to uncompress it. It doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we catch it here and we just say, okay, whatever, it's binary source, and they're going to sort it out. If we uncompress it successfully, then we're going to call IO printable Unicode lists, Unicode characters to list uncompressed. Yep, which is just what we're doing down here. And then maybe gunzip. So yeah, we're not doing it there. Okay, binary source. Yeah, so that's better than what we had. What we want, I'm going to put a note here. Note. Package entire projects as archives. Or maybe oh, you took off and came back. Haha. So I was like, oh no, my user count dropped by 1, but it's not like I have a bunch. I don't expect a bunch. This has got to be like the most not engaging content kind of ever. Anyway, what I basically want to do ultimately is I want to have this OK source thing, and then there's a fallback binary type, but I would also like to have an archive return type. So OK source means it's like one file. And then archive, this is following whatever our archive standard is that we're going to like come up with. And then whatever, you don't know. But then any other caller doing any other of their own thing can take care of that themselves. So we're not limiting what they can do. They can come up with their own wacko system to do whatever they want. But there's definitely two main cases that we want to handle, which is we had a single file that was the whole contract. It got decompressed. Here's the bytes. And others just, here's the binary. We don't know what to do with it. And that here's the contract bytes. That's true whether or not it was compressed. I mean, it could be a poem. Who knows? But if it's printable Unicode, it comes back as OK source means it's a Unicode binary, which is like that's what you actually want to know. And you could say, oh, but it's expensive to do this conversion. Like, it's super not. This is happening mostly on the client side. You're not sure if your last message worked. It seemed like the stream filtered it. The last message I saw was, sorry, I had to leave for some minutes. I don't know if that was the last one you actually wrote. I can check YouTube, though. I'm not. Well, can I see my own chat in YouTube? I don't know that I can. Most likely they're better. Oh, yeah, I didn't see that one. You said game development. Currently working on Revolt OpenGL. I do not know Revolt. Can you link? Give me a link to it. I'll check it out. Not that I have a lot of time, but I mean, I like new stuff. OpenGL. That's getting better bindings to like actually Vulkan, even though Vulkan's kind of its own nightmare, but getting better bindings to that and like WX would be awesome in Erlang. My diabolical plan is to create an Erlang distribution that's got cross-platform audio-video codecs and a little bit better options for doing cross-platform 3D stuff through Vulkan, so that you could like define more of the processing in terms of like the shaders in, you know, take better use of the just driving their graphics card better. Like the way it works right now isn't really that great in Erlang. We're still doing a lot of like the plot, like most of the plotting and the like vector rotations and stuff still happens, or the matrix math stuff still usually happens in Erlang, and then you tell kind of what your results are. You tell, oops, that was a mistake. You then pass your results on to WX, or to OpenGL. It'd be better if we did that stuff on the GPU. That'd be way cooler. So let's see. What, I have a notification? Oh, it's just for. Speaking of games, I got a notification for some game stream just started. Anyway, this is how I'd ultimately like things to work, is to have like I want, what I actually want is like result, and then result is one of or archive. Do I want to hand that back just as its own thing? Maybe. Or do I want to unpack it first? And then, actually, unpacking should be safe because these shouldn't be that huge. But they're not showing up in the. They're not showing up in what, in the YouTube chat? Is there a rate limit set? I don't think that there is. I'm not the most stream knowledgeable guy. I don't even know where to check that yet. Let's see. Is there a YouTube Studio thing? No, I'm not seeing that. Live. There's one right now. I don't know if there's settings for stuff like that. Quiz. You can do quizzes? I don't know. I don't know. I don't see anything in there for like chat. I don't see like chat moderation type stuff in here. I don't really know. I'm checking it right now. Oh, okay. YouTube censors. Well, just do it like break it up somehow. Um, you know, put like, I guess I was able to post links, but yeah, I can't make anybody a mod. So I'll get nuked without even. No, just break it up like you know, link and then foo dot bar, you know, and that would be fine. It actually took YouTube censored my link too. I did qbq.swiss, so I should be like, let's see if this works. It eliminated my. You tried breaking it up, but it still detects it. That one got through when I broke it up like that. Put spaces between the slashes or put, make a thing so I can reconstruct the link. Well, okay, what would I search to find your thing? Revolt OpenGL? Would that be a findable thing? RC racing game? I see Revolt OpenGL Softonic. Let's see. Revolt Wiki. Revolt OpenGL for Mac. Huh. Dot organization. Okay, let me see that. RVGL. Oh, there we go. Okay, RVGL project page. The Revolt Network. That worked. That is the craziest link masking I think I've seen in a while. But I did manage to find the thing. So that's cool. Maybe racing around a ship on that. Yeah, that looks cool. So I did manage to find it. I just don't. I'll have to. That's a big page. Is that on Steam? Revolt? Genius mask, yeah. I keep hitting escape while I'm like in a different activity and it's not working. Do I want archives to be structured or unpacked? Like, how do those come out from zip? I wonder. ERTS. CLib. I think zip takes. Oh no, there's a zip. There's a zip. Like it's a file level thing. I think that might be in the standard library. I think it's like down. Yes, it is. Ah, come on. I have to like zip through the whole thing. All right. Zip. Zip module supports zip archives version up to 6.1. Pass protect and zip 64 not supported. That's fine. We don't want them. By convention, the name of zip. Okay. Oh, there's an Errol Tar. Ah, maybe I should use that instead. I don't actually remember which one I used in. I don't remember which one I used in ZX. Create. Oh, okay. This is probably better as a tar utility. File to device tar descriptor. What's this? I got messages. Well, that's a whole debacle about Revolt. The one on Steam is a version released in 1999. Wow. The current IP owners exploit it to get money. Okay. Revolt GL, on the other hand, is a rewrite of Revolt and is free to download and use. It has online play and has. Oh, okay. So the Steam, like the name, kind of got consumed by the IP owners for Steam, but they're just releasing like the old one for money. Oh, wait, I have a live chat. I'm just getting a message that on Rumble, I've got live chat is like showing up over the code. That's thank you. I did not. Oh, look at that. I can move this around. Is this even supposed to show on the? Okay. So, I guess Cecile's watching this, and she just told me that I've got. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. I see. So that's neat. I didn't realize that I had the chat overlaid. I'm sorry. This whole time, there's just been this like wacko thing there. I guess that's the chat window. I'm new at streaming. I didn't realize that was a thing. Oh, duh. There's an option inside of Rumble Studio that says live chat, display chat on top of stream, and it is turned on, and that's what that was. So I'm just silly. Oh yeah, and she's okay. Got it from Aaron. Look. Oh, well, thank you for letting me know. I didn't even realize that. Because I'm not good at this. So actually, so the popped out. When I pop the thing out so I can see it fully and like see it, because I've got that little like mini. All I can see is like that mini preview thing. When I pop out that one frame, I don't see that there's chat overlaid on it. So I just didn't realize that this whole time. Whoops. So thank you. So, but your name is in red too, which makes me think it's because you're unverified. You're one of those dirty unverified people. I'm not supposed to talk with you. I'm supposed to be suspicious. So, let's see. How does this tar thing work? Ooh. Normally accesses a tar file and just use the file module. It's, it's because you're angry all the time. Oh, it's red. Just like it's like a mood ring. Let's see. So what happens if what's the return if I open if I like uncompress an archive, I think that I had totally forgotten about Arreltar. I think I actually used that in ZX, and then like it worked really well, and so I never had to look at it again, and I forgot about it. That's how most things happen, by the way, is I write stuff, and if I spend time getting it right, then I never like look at it again. And then I forget. That's how I stay sane. I just forget stuff. Too many things that suck to remember. You're angry all the time. Very nice. Option compressed, cooked, blah, or it's fault. Extract. Extracts all file from a tar archive to where? The thing is, what I want to do is I want to extract in memory, if I can, in chunks, and then I want to check that it's not getting too big because I want to set a limit. Basically, have an open option that says I want it raw, or I want you to try to open it, like decompress it. And if you do try to decompress it, don't let it be above X size in memory. Like those are options I would like to add to this. To give like the caller some options for how they want a thing opened. If argument name is specified as binary, conspires soon to be a tar archive. Oh, the binary is assumed to be a tar archive. Okay. And if it's a file descriptor, yeah, it's supposed to be from file open. That makes perfect sense. Extract options. What? Okay, so here's the one that I want to know. What's this one do? If I open, like I think I was doing I think I was like extracting everything into current working directory and then specifying that directory in ZX. Memory should extract it into memory, as the name would suggest. The file's uncompressed while extracting. Okay, cool. This option gives a result as a list of tuples. File name binary. Ooh, that's what I want. Is a binary containing the extracted data of the file named file name in the tar file. Can that be recursive though? Like if I have a file tree that I have compressed. I don't know, but I can find out by experimenting. That's way better. Like, that's way better. That's a much better way to do this. Was there a type to that? I imagine that's got to like file name binary, and then you can that binary might also be another list of whatever's if it's a directory. Close rags. Okay. Altar close. Add. No. Okay. Extract. Okay. Binary. Okay, I'm going to have to play with that. My suspicion is this isn't entirely accurate. I imagine that if this is a directory, it's going to show the directory name, and then binary might be another one of these nested in there. Like this might also be a list. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. Okay. or okay, that's more the way that I want things to go. I want is this slightly corny? Yeah, it is, but I don't care. That's better. Now the question is what I should probably do. Okay, to start with, here's the funky thing. When we do a symbol call data over here, we're getting the source from the compiled blah. And I need to find out if the contract source in this case is like a fully assembled. Is the contract source from this, is that after, it's after compilation, right? So it's putting the artifact all together. Does that mean also that it's like, what's it called? Like it's after the first pass where like it's put all the includes and everything in? If that's the case, maybe it's fine to just do it as a single thingy for now. An archive would just be a different, that'd be like a thing anybody else could implement. Anyway, the trick is that a symbol call data is going to have another step to this where we could add an archive argument to this and say, I want to deploy this on chain. Here's the list of like here's the directory listing that defines the project that we're actually looking at. And so it would be a list of files that you would unpack into a directory that's like the whole, the whole project packed up in that way. There's going to be some additional, is it going to be risky to do? Like, do I need to make an archive format, or do I need to implement some of the tar archive evaluation itself? To make it safe, that's what I'm thinking about, is like to make this safe, does it need to be, do I need to get a little bit more in the weeds to make sure that this is safe? I don't know for sure just yet, but definitely the way that we call contract create is going to change if we're going to have an archive, a possibility of like an archive argument. Or we could add the archive to the contracts, like, so we've got the compiled artifact, then we have we could do that. So the compiled thing, right? This won't be able to come from the compiler, but we can, like, the places where we actually are the ones calling compile. If we're calling compile, we have this set of things, set of files in context to build the project out before the compiler gets it. We could add archive. So we have contract source, but we can also have like archive or like project or something. Add that as an element to this compiled map. And like this one over here, this compiled map could have an additional optional element there. It's not just contract source, but have an archive. And then archive that up with tar. This is a possibility. Basically, what would the flow look like? This isn't, whoa, what am I doing? I'm sliding the chat around. This is like just barely in the way. I'm going to see if I can move myself around here a little bit. Let me elongate this. I need to get my stream set up, sorted out at some point. Okay. Basically, I want oh no, I want like case maps is key project. Then nope, actually I want to get project yeah, okay. So if it's an empty thing, we return the empty thing, and if okay, that's what I want. Okay. Then we would do Errol tar blah blah project. Wait. No, I'll keep that source and I'll make this be binary because that makes more sense. Ah, I'm back to not being able to type. Okay, and then not compressed necessarily, but binary. Okay, so what that lets us do. I need to pop this thing out because I can't. Whoop. My face is like just over the pop out thing, which sucks. Okay, so we have possibly gzip source, and then not Errol rar, Errol tar. It's too small for me to see when I didn't have it popped out. Yeah, Errol tar will. Okay. How did that actually happen? What can I check for this? Checking my old projects is usually a good way to figure out how stuff works. Mm-hmm. Can I show this in here? I should be able to. Oh, there we go. Here, let's go to well, before I do that, let's just grep for Araltar. Make sure that I'm actually using it. I am. Okay, and it isn't OSP. What did I do in here? Oh, that's a gnarly frickin' lovely. Araltar create GZ path targets. Oh yeah, that's after a bunch of munging. Okay. So create was this is the create one here, right? Create the file name, file list, targets. Where's targets come from? Extract dot files from everything. Oh yeah. Okay. List a target directory. Okay. So this is like this is a one flat layer. And that's doing it in depth. Compressing everything all up. Which means when we uncompress this, obviously we're getting the whole. We're not getting just file name binary. We're getting file name and then stuff, which is more in depth. Yeah. Okay. That means when you open these things, though, there's no way that we're file list. Yeah, that's a create. Extract can't actually be this type. That's wrong. So since I'm not supposed to interact with the clowns that run everything, I won't, but that's messed up over here. Okay. What was the memory one in create? That's what we actually need. Create. The file list can be, a list of name and archive. Defaults can either be read from disk or be specified as binaries. Name and archive, and then the types in Araltar are all messed up. That's not actually like the types that are claimed here are not the way that things actually seem to work. That could be something worth fixing. Anyway, so I know what I want to do though. Is this becomes create and then tar gz path. I want to create it in memory though. File list is the file list. Option, create option. Okay. Deburns, propose. So it returns okay. Is there an in-memory way to do this? Or does it have to be an on-disk operation? I guess okay, so I have to create this, put it on disk. That's going to be a mess. So let's see. We're going to need to make a function to archive project, and then yeah, this is going to be yep. I'm just making up things that don't exist right now, so I can just make it happen. So we'll make up some temp file somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is. And then we're going to have to do arrow tar create temp file project. What are the options? Yeah, I don't care about that. To override the default and store the file that symbolic link points to into the tar file, use option dereference. Okay, so we would want compressed dereference. We don't want I don't think there's an attack vector there, but we don't want any leftover. We'll have to think about that carefully. We don't want any leftover. We don't want any symbolic links to show up in the file list because that's silly. There actually shouldn't be any by this point, though. Because we shouldn't even have any file system references by the time we get this should all be in memory already. So I don't think dereference will actually make a difference. And then something like that is what we would want to do. Yeah. I didn't really need a function for that, but it's fine. It's gonna be something like that. I have some more to play with. It's noon here. I need to get out and move on. I'm gonna go ahead and bookmark this here. I probably won't get back to it today. I'll probably just continue this on stream tomorrow. I have a bunch of other stuff I have to do. I have some errands to run, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But it was kind of fun. We'll see where the streaming things go. I'll be doing these. I haven't decided like how many days per week, but it will be probably in like America Land. It'll be afternoon on the West Coast, maybe early evening on the East Coast. Out here in the West Pacific, it'll be like 9 or 10 a.m., something like that. Japan time, the only real time zone. Europe, you guys just, it's too bad. It's going to be like super late your time. So whatever. But anyway, I'll be doing this a couple times per week. Not a whole lot of excitement just yet, because I'm just doing, this is just like library code. Anyway, it was fun. Thanks for watching. I will catch you guys, I think, tomorrow.